Today, we're going to talk about something called thick data. Now, it might sound a little academic, but trust me, it's the secret key to understanding why some of the biggest companies on the planet succeed and why others totally fail. It's all about the powerful human stories that raw numbers and statistics just can't capture.
So let's just jump right in with a huge high-stakes question. Why is it that some of the biggest companies in the world, the ones with all the money and all the data, consistently fall flat on their face when they try to expand into the world's fastest-growing markets? What is going on there?
Well, it turns out the answer isn't in the mountains of spreadsheets they already have. Nope. It's hidden in the stories they completely ignore, all the messy, complex, and emotional data that makes up our real human lives.
Okay, so let's get into the problem itself. Because in these hyper-diverse, super fast-moving economies, think places like India, Indonesia, Nigeria, Brazil, the standard numbers, the quantitative data that big companies love, well, it can be incredibly misleading. It can lie.
This is really where the illusion is. A simple metric like GDP per capita, it doesn't even see the massive, invisible, informal economy where real life is actually happening. It can't possibly account for irregular cash flows in a family, and it completely, totally misses the fact that in so many of these communities, trust, not money, is the most valuable currency there is.
So if the big numbers are lying to us, what's the solution? This is where we're seeing this huge shift in thinking, moving away from just big data and towards something so much richer. Welcome to the thick data revolution.
Okay, so here's the core difference, right? Big data is amazing at telling you what happened. The clicks, the purchases, the sheer scale of it all. But thick data, that's what gets you to the why. It peels back the layers to uncover the emotions, the stories, and the cultural context that are actually driving all those numbers. So how do you even get this why data? The main method here is this really cool field called digital anthropology. It's basically about researchers immersing themselves in the digital spaces where people live their lives so they can truly understand the culture that's driving their actions from the inside out. All right, so let's look at how this actually works in the real world. How do researchers get, inside the digital tribe to see what's really going on? This quote right here really gets to the heart of it. A simple transaction, like someone in Jakarta buying a motorcycle, that's just a single data point. The thick data, the real insight, is understanding what that motorcycle means to them, the status, the respect, the social capital it gives them inside their specific community. And where does this research happen? Well, it's not in some sterile lab. It's in the places where people are already hanging out and talking. Researchers are studying what they call native digital behaviors right inside WhatsApp groups, WeChat communities, and these amazing hyperlocal apps like Zalo in Vietnam or Babuzi in Africa. So let's go back to that motorcycle in Jakarta. A digital anthropologist wouldn't just see a sale. They would see that purchase as a powerful signal of success and status within that person's kampong, or village, which now has its own vibrant digital life. That's the kind of insight that can completely change a company's entire marketing strategy. Now, this isn't just about people watching people anymore. The future of this kind of insight is this powerful mix of human expertise and really cutting-edge AI. So what is this going to look like in the very near future, say by 2026? First up, AI is going to help with the ethnography, which is basically the anthropology of online communities. It'll analyze huge amounts of conversation to decode cultural semiotics, which is just a fancy way of saying it can understand the hidden meanings in local slang, emojis, and memes. Then you'll have smart agents engaging with people directly, often using voice notes, which is brilliant because it gets around any literacy barriers. And this is crucial. It's an ethical exchange. People get micropayments for sharing their stories, which makes sure the insights are not only top-notch, but also gathered in the right way. But listen, for any of this to work, for this entire system to even get off the ground, it has to be built on a foundation of absolute privacy and trust. If people don't feel safe sharing their stories, the whole model just completely falls apart. But all this reliance on technology introduces a huge risk, right? How do we make sure we're not just creating a more sophisticated, high-tech version of the exact same problem we started with? The number one biggest danger in this entire field is what we call the cultural blind spot. It's the massive risk of misinterpreting data simply because the technology lacks any real, genuine cultural understanding. And here is a perfect and, frankly, scary example. An AI that's been trained mostly on Western data might completely misunderstand a concept like saving face,
which is a deeply important social cue in many Asian cultures. The algorithm sees the words, sure, but it misses the entire subtext, and that can lead to some absolutely disastrous marketing failures.
The solution, and really the only way to guard against this, is to always keep a human in the loop. You need human digital ethnographers who can catch those subtle nuances, people who actually understand the culture, and who can correct the algorithm's blind spots before they turn into very expensive mistakes.
And that brings us to our final thought for today. In a world where AI can analyze data at an absolutely incredible scale, does our uniquely human ability to feel empathy, to understand stories, and to really grasp cultural context, does that actually become our single most valuable professional asset? It's something to think about. Thanks so much for tuning in.